Hey, what is up? Thanks for being on. So I went carnivore for 30 days and I want to tell you about it. So first off, what is carnivore? I ate nothing but animal products for 30 days. So the carnivore diet, something that kind of became more popularized in 2017. And as we're reading more and more studies about the benefit of eating whole foods and animal products versus the other noise of is too much fat bad, things like that. Like, I think it all kind of started a lot more with the paleo and keto movement, and then now people are just going full meat only diet. So I wanted to try it out, especially since I'm studying a lot of things about nutrition, and I thought it'd be cool, kind of a cool experiment to do. So during the first 30 days, my experience was I didn't have any you would think if you're cutting out all the carbs in your diet, right, that you would maybe have less energy. I did not have any experience like that with less energy. So my energy was pretty the same all throughout all 30 days, which was, I thought, pretty cool. Because I didn't really know what to expect going in. I saw other people do it. Some people have problems with digestion. I did not have that personally, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. Talk about what my diet looked like during the time, how much it costs to be on an all-meat diet. You might imagine maybe it's expensive. Spoiler alert, was about the same as my normal diet. And just whether or not I'm still carnivore, another spoiler alert, I'm not. I went back to my normal way of eating about a week ago. And I'm going to tell you kind of why too. But first off, I'm going to kind of go chronologically. My first week in carnivore, one of the things I noticed right away on day 4, and you saw that if you followed me on Instagram, was that, or my stories, that I actually got like oily skin on day 4. So my lips were no longer chapped. I had, I think, really healthy skin, healthy hair, oilier hair, and also knee pain went away. Not in the first week. Knee pain went away later on, but I had a knee surgery a long time ago with sports injury, and I feel like through eating more carnivore that my joints actually felt a little bit better as well. So it was a cool thing. I felt like maybe if you're someone who's taking a omega-3 fish oil supplement, maybe eating more a meat-based diet is helpful, as I found. Personally, that I got, I never really liked fish oils. I tried to take them when I was younger because I had a knee surgery and I thought that would be better for me. But they always gave me indigestion, didn't really sit well, so I stopped taking it pretty quickly. However, eating a more meat-based diet, really increasing my meat intake, I found that I had that oilier skin and nice fluid joints, which I thought was pretty cool, and I can contribute that to either maybe more fat from animal sources or the fact that I was eating more meat that was bone-in meat, like ribs and chicken thighs and things like that, which are higher in collagen, and so maybe the collagen was very helpful there as well. So that's what I noticed right away week 1, as I had healthier hair and skin. Some people talked about digestion, and asked me about how my digestion was because I had no fiber. So you might think eating no fiber might be an issue. A lot of people say that you need fiber. There's kind of a war about whether or not fiber is something you really, really need, or if you need a lot of it, or if too much of it's bad for you. And I think, yes, it depends on kind of where you're at, how your microbiome is. So anytime you change your diet, you're going to change your microbiome, your gut health, your gut bacteria, and it can cause problems for you in the restroom, right? So if you're in the standard American diet and you really clean up your diet overnight and start eating nothing but whole food, fruits and vegetables and meat, you probably will get the flu. you're gonna go to the restroom quite often. You might get diarrhea because you're just really changed. Your microbiome's not ready for that, not ready for the food that you're eating. If you're eating a lot of processed foods, right? If you're eating the standard American diet, processed foods and takeout, pizza and soda and things like that, like corn syrup. So when I changed my microbiome or my diet from eating more of a paleo-ish style with a little bit of rice and beans in moderation, sometimes having bread, that was kind of my way of eating, pretty whole food based and pretty healthy with some protein shakes thrown in. I went from that if you go on omnivore story on my Instagram highlights, there's an omnivore story. That's how I eat normally. I went from that to now if you go to the other highlight called carnivore on my Instagram, you can see exactly how I was eating over the carnivore, my 30 days carnivore, and you can see it was a lot different. So I was thinking going into this, like my gut is going to change, and it definitely did. However, I think it changed for the better, which was kind of cool. So I ended up going to the restroom less on carnivore. The first week, I actually didn't go to the restroom for like a few days, which I was like, okay, so that's probably not good. However, I didn't really feel uncomfortable or bloated either, so it wasn't really something I was super worried about. So I decided to add a little bit more salt in my diet. I just noticed that we ran out of salt about a week before I went carnivore. So I had no salt for a whole week. And then we went carnivore and I still didn't buy salt. So there was just no salt and no fiber in my diet. But actually, I had salt from the meat, but not like added salt. So I added a little bit more pink Himalayan salt and things started moving nice and easy. And I ended up going to the restroom at the same time every day for the last 30 days on carnivore. And it was pretty regular. And it's just the thing behind that is that so meat and higher fat content, like eating fat is good for your digestion, right? So if you eat avocado with a salad, it slows down, fiber moves through your body so fast. Eating avocado with your salad helps you get more nutrition out of the salad because the fat in avocado slows down the digestion and it gives your body time to digest it. So when you eat a lot of meat is very bioavailable for the first off, which means like your body is able to digest and use meat pretty easily. And then especially since it comes with its own fat built into it usually, and then depending on how much fat you eat in your diet, you're probably going to digest things a lot better. And that's what I actually did experience is I felt like there was just less waste being produced. So I had more free time because of that, which was cool. So I saved like 15 minutes a day, maybe maximum, but still. It was a good experience for my digestion through that. And I feel like now that I'm making this video about 10 days after finishing carnivore, 9 days after carnivore, I've added sweet potatoes and broccoli back into, I tried broccoli one time, but just other things back into my diet. So I'm eating more regular now. However, I do intend to eat more meat going forward than I've had done previously. So that's one change that I think carnivore has inspired me to continue eating more meat, even though I'm not carnivore currently. And so the thing about carnivore is that you might think like, hey, is carnivore super expensive? Because like meat's more expensive than, I don't know, like tofu's pretty cheap. Meat's more expensive, you would think. Or like bananas are almost free. I swear they give them away for like 49 cents a pound, like nothing. But the thing is like there are other food items like eggs, for example, are pretty cheap as well. And what I noticed is I didn't need to eat as many calories because going kind of piggybacking off of the digestion was working better and I was getting more probably nutrition out of my food. I was eating 2,000 to 2,500 calories during my carnivore experience, which if you know me, that's not a lot of calories. Right directly before going carnivore, I was eating like 3,000 to 3,500, depending on my workout. And even before that, in the past, when I was a lot more active for my job and I was walking 40,000 steps in a day, I was eating like 5,000 calories and like struggling to maintain my body weight at, I think it was 175 at that time. And so being carnivore, I am happily sitting at 170 pounds. I leaned out a little bit. So before starting carnivore, I was 172 and then now I'm 170. So I lost 2 pounds during carnivore and it seemed to be mostly body fat. I look probably more muscular. I definitely look more muscular now than I did 30 days before before starting the carnivore. And I also saw improvements in certain workouts, like my front levers, which is it's more of a gym, like calisthenics movement, advanced movement. My front levers got a little bit better, stronger during the carnivore, even though I wasn't training very hard, which was kind of a cool thing. I noticed my chest. This looks a little more fuller after carnivore, which I definitely did push-ups during the time I trained, but I'm not in the gym. The gyms are closed. Like, we have quarantine right now. So I think that having more protein in my diet was a good thing. And I benefited, not just having better skin and hair and things like that, but having my muscle mass benefited. I was able to keep it while cutting some body fat, which was kind of a cool thing. And I was actually a little worried about that because, there is a lot of carbohydrates do help you fuel exercise and build muscle. So like carbs are something that I'm not anti-carb. I normally eat like 100, 150 grams of carbs a day. It's still lower on the carb side. I'm like maybe 20 to 30% of my diet normally is from carbs. When I went carnivore, I went down to 5% of my diet was carbs. So I was like I never went that low on the low carb spectrum before, and found out, like, I think I started our talk today by saying like my energy was fine. I think I ate enough fat to where it was fine. I had energy. Protein actually gave me a good amount of energy too. And I had a lot of creatine in my diet, which allowed me to fuel my workouts just fine. And my muscle mass was maintained, if not maybe even a little bit gained during the time, which is cool. So, yeah, I think I went on a tangent there. I didn't really address that. Is it more expensive or not? Or, like I said, my grocery bill was almost the same, maybe a little bit more, but not much more. I felt like I was eating a lot healthier. As in, like, 100% of my food that I was eating when I was carnivore was whole food. Whereas when I was not going carnivore, every once in a while I'd have like a Kodiak cake pancake, which is like a whole wheat pancake, which is fine. It's not bad for you, but it is a processed food item, right? Tofu is a processed food item. Protein powder is a processed food item. None of these things are unhealthy to eat. However, they are a processed food item, and whole food is technically, I would think, better. So when I was eating carnivore, I was eating 100% whole food during the time. Didn't need extra protein from supplements or anything like that, or creatine from supplements. So I did, felt well during it, felt healthy during the diet, or the way of eating. So, which might be like, if you're watching this and you think like you've never heard of carnivore diet before, you might think what I first thought was like, this is kind of strange, right? How can you not eat fiber, not eat vegetables and fruits, and still be considered be healthy? And I think during carnivore, I felt just fine because I was eating a lot of different types of meat, cuts of meat, and trying to get vitamins from all over the place. So I was eating bacon every morning, pork chops, tenderloin. I had steak every day. I made sure I had a certain amount of steak. It was like 6-ounce minimum, 6 to 10 ounces of steak a day. I had ground beef. I added in like halfway through, which allowed me to maintain my muscle mass, I think, even easier because it was just a little bit more fat in there. And so I think at one point I dropped down below 170. I added in ground beef and I went back up, which was good. And I still look lean, and I think like I still have like 10 days after pretty good muscle definition, especially in my abs. One thing I did notice after carnivore, when I added in sweet potato into so the week after carnivore, I just added in like 2 things, which is bananas and sweet potatoes. I added that in. I didn't want to add too much because I didn't want to change my microbiome again, too drastically, right? So I added in the sweet potatoes, and I actually saw my stomach even flatten out even more, had better abs after that even. So I think there is a benefit definitely to eating fruits and vegetables. However, I find that certain fruits and vegetables, when I added in spinach and broccoli, give me a little bit of I feel really full and heavy after eating spinach and broccoli, especially when it's paired with a lot of different other food items. So I noticed I felt a lot lighter eating just meat, and I continue to feel lighter eating meat and potatoes, or meat and sweet potatoes, or meat and carrots, meat and beets, onions, things like that, like more roots, which are, I guess, not as inflammatory for my gut. So I actually was able to, through this carnivore experience, kind of find more about my own body and what my body likes and doesn't like. I found out personally I like dairy, meat, and potatoes, and roots, those kind of vegetables. Whereas the leafy, really super green vegetables really make me feel full and kind of bloated. So that's just something unique about me. And I think everyone, is there a one way of eating that's best for everyone? yes, it's called whole food, right? So the standard American diet's not it. Processed food, prepackaged food, fast food's not it. However, looking at whole food, there's a lot of options for whole food to eat healthy, right? So if you're lost, up from down, and you have questions on like, hey, what's the best way to eat for you, not for me, I recommend really diving in. And if you need help, like comment down below, like, hey, tell me what your goals are. Reach out, ask for help. I would love to chat with you to help get you pushed in the right direction. And if you feel like, hey, I want more help, then I can send you an application to join me and my clients in the Steel Body Fitness Academy, where my clients are killing it all the time. And you really find that like nutrition is not a one size fits all. However, I have found personally that there is a big upside to eating more meat in my diet. So, and I think that probably everyone can benefit from eating meat. However, do you need meat in order to be healthy? Probably. Well, most definitely there are people who are healthy that don't eat meat, right? So, however, it is a healthy food item. And so there's a lot of research going out that kind of inspired me to do this, right? But I don't want to jump into all of that. I want to mainly stay on what I experienced personally and whether or not I would recommend this for anyone. First and foremost, like I am not continuing to do this after the 30 days, right? So we're like 10 days past the 30 days I'm filming this, and I've added in fruits and vegetables again. Why? Because I like bananas and sweet potatoes and things like that. During the carnivore, I didn't really have much sugar at all, except for sugar that was found in like dairy. And then I did have honey towards the end. Like the very, very last week, I went out and bought honey because it is a carnivore food approved item, and I wanted to try it out. And it was actually a nice mix up to have some Greek yogurt with honey, which was cool. But yeah, I didn't feel like I needed it necessarily. Which if you're a bodybuilder or someone who works out and you have hard workouts, maybe eating some Greek yogurt and honey as a pre or post workout would be smart for you. Just get you more carbs. But would I continue eating this way? The answer is strict carnivore. No. Why? Because I probably don't enjoy it enough to continue it just doing that. However, I will be eating more meat, I think, going forward and trying to prioritize things like bacon and steak in my diet, and probably eat less of the things that make me bloated. They don't sit well with my body, right? Broccoli for one, and like spinach in moderation. I think probably too much spinach makes me too heavy. So those are the changes that I'm making for probably myself. However, I feel like there's also probably seasons where you could, certain like when you look at diet and exercise, it's like there are more than one way to skin a cat, right? So, and you look at not all vegetables are not grown year round. So why do we eat vegetables all year round, right? So things like that, and like all humans, there's different continents that have different animals, different plants. Should we be eating all of the plants found in every continent in one plate? Maybe, maybe not, right? And there's still more research that needs to be done on that. However, it's cool to kind of feel like, hey, figuring out more about your own body, I think is a cool thing, and what works best for you. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps up everything that I wanted to talk about today. If you guys have questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to answer them. Give you guys, maybe if this is something you want to try, give you guys some tips and pointers. Obviously, you want to eat lots of calories as carnivore, and kind of just make sure that you're prioritizing eating different types of meat, salmon, fish, fattier meats, things like that, where you get a lot of vitamins from your food, since you're not eating fruits and vegetables, right? And then, I used it more as an elimination diet to find out some things about my gut. I found out what I wanted to find out, and moving forward, I'm going to be eating certain vegetables, and not so much of others. All right, guys. Hope this is informative. Hope that it was something that maybe was thought-provoking and at the very least entertaining.